Like I told you, our main focus today is Sri Lanka, and violent protests are taking place as we speak outside the presidential residence in Colombo. What many are calling as one of the largest anti-government marches in the crisis-hit island nation this year. The public anger, which was swelling over time due to the rising prices of essentials and the lack of strong political figures to drive the cash-starved country out of the crisis. Protesters holding Sri Lankan flags broke into the presidential residence. Sri Lankan police fired tear gas at protesters in Colombo to control thousands of people who were gathered outside the residence. Now, thousands of demonstrators parked in buses, trains and trucks from across the South Asian nation entered Colombo to express outrage over the government's failure to protect them from economic ruin. Pictures and videos all over the social media is being circulated where hundreds of protesters can be seen inside the residence, packed into rooms and corridors, shouting slogans against Rajapaksa. In the videos also, the protesters can be seen lying on the bed and swimming in the presidential swimming pool. Sources confirmed that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa was removed from the official premises on Friday for his safety ahead of the planned rally over the weekend. Footage circulating on social media also claims that luggage belonging to the president was hurriedly packed into a Sri Lankan Navy ship at the Colombo port. Sri Lanka's Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe summoned an urgent cabinet meeting to discuss a swift resolution to a potential power vacuum after President Gotabaya Rajapaksa fled his official residence. Prime Minister Office claims that President Rajapaksa told Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe that he will respect any decision taken at party's leaders' meeting. Wickremesinghe, who is next in line of succession if Rajapaksa resigns, invited political party leaders to join the meeting and also asked for Parliament to be convened urgently to discuss the crisis. His office says in a statement, now at least 21 people, including police personnel, have been injured in the clash between the police and the protesters, and some were hospitalized following the ongoing protest. Again, this is the latest development from Sri Lanka. The protests have taken a violent twist as we speak because protesters and demonstrators have stormed the presidential secretariat office, and the president is reportedly fled the palace. Many are calling this protest one of the largest anti-government marches in the crisis-hit island nation this year. The public anger, which was swelling over time due to the rising prices of essentials and the lack of strong political figure to drive the cash-starved country out of the crisis, protesters holding Sri Lankan flags broke into the presidential residence. Sri Lankan police fired tear gas into the air to disperse the protesters and also control the thousands of people who had gathered outside the residence. We do not know the whereabouts of the president, but we are made aware that he did speak to the Prime Minister Wickremesinghe and told him that he will respect any decision that will be taken during the party's meeting, which will be held shortly. Now, thousands of demonstrators parked in buses, trains and trucks across the South Asian nation entered Colombo to express outrage over the government's failure to protect them from economic ruin. Pictures and videos have been circulating on social media for the better part of today, where hundreds of protesters can be seen inside the residence, packed into rooms and corridors, shouting slogans against President Rajapaksa. Also in the videos, protesters can be seen lying on the bed. We're also told that they raided the kitchen and took a dip in the presidential palace's swimming pool. These are the images and the footage from the inside the presidential palace. As you can see, this is the bedroom where protesters confiscated everything that was in the drawers, in the cupboards. And again, this is the swimming pool. Like I mentioned before, they took a dip in the presidential palace's swimming pool in complete disregard of the security officers who were one floor above them, as you can see from the video on your screen. The president fled the presidential palace once the protesters had gained momentum and had gained or had increased in numbers. Anger has been growing over the economic turmoil in the country, and this anger has now boiled over. Sources confirmed that President Gotabaya Rajapaksa was removed from the official premises on Friday for his safety ahead of the planned rally over the weekend. Footage circulated on social media claims that luggage belonging to the president was hurriedly packed into a Sri Lankan Navy ship at the Colombo port. Sri Lanka's Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has summoned an urgent cabinet meeting to discuss a swift resolution to a potential power vacuum after President Gotabaya Rajapaksa fled his official residence. We are being told that Prime Minister or the Prime Minister's office claims that President Rajapaksa called and told the Prime Minister that he will respect any decision taken at the party leaders' meeting, which will be held shortly. Wickremesinghe, who is next in line of succession if Rajapaksa resigns, invited political party leaders to join the meeting and also asked for Parliament to be convened urgently to discuss the crisis, which has been going on for months now. At least 21 people, including police personnel, have been injured in this latest protest. We have our correspondent Dasunia Thauda, who is on ground zero, and this is what she sent us earlier.
Protesters still continue to march towards the presidential secretariat, which is only a few hundred meters away from this specific location. While the sporadic tear gas firing has stopped, 31 individuals have so far sustained injuries at this mass rally, which is set to continue throughout the day today. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has now requested for the Parliament to immediately convene, with other MPs in Parliament now calling for President Gotabaya Rajapaksa to immediately step down from his position as president. Stay with WION World is One as we bring you the very latest as and when it happens here in Colombo. Reporting for WION, I am Dasunia Thauda.
The public anger in Sri Lanka has boiled over, as you can see on your screens right now. This is in Colombo, which is the capital of Sri Lanka, where angry protesters broke or breached the police barricades and entered the presidential palace or the presidential secretariat. They stormed the swimming pool, stormed the kitchen, stormed the bedroom as the beleaguered president, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, fled his official residence in the capital. Now, protesters are demanding the leader's resignation even after storming the compound. The island of 22 million people is struggling under a severe foreign exchange shortage that has limited essential imports of fuel, food, and medicine, plunging it into the worst financial turmoil in 7 decades. So these were earlier scenes in Colombo where protesters and demonstrators, including monks, raided the presidential secretariat, entered into the kitchen, broke all the pictures, as I'm told. They also raided the presidential bedroom and took a dip in the presidential swimming pool. We still do not know the whereabouts of the president or the beleaguered president. He was evacuated as soon as the protests grew larger. Well, there are several videos being circulating or have been circulating on social media amid reports of Gotabaya Rajapaksa having fled. A video is being massively circulating on social media which allegedly shows luggage belonging to the president being hurriedly packed into a Navy ship, SLNS Gajabahu. This is a video from the Colombo port. Whereabouts of the president are still not known. Now, according to the latest statement from the Prime Minister's office, President Gotabaya Rajapaksa called and told the Prime Minister, Wickremesinghe, that he will respect any decision taken at the party leaders' meeting, which will be held shortly. As the crisis unfolds, we earlier spoke to Dr. Aruna Kulatunga, and this is what he had to say about this.
I hope it will be soon, but there's a problem with this whole thing. This is a constitutional situation that is there. What if happen? What is next? He can give up, and what happens next? That is an issue that not just himself, but the rest of the cabinet and the prime minister is going to consider in the next few hours. There's a meeting that has been called, all-party meeting that has been called, and that question will be taken up at this point of time. I have to say he has to go. There's no question about it. But how do we do that? What are the constitutional way of doing that? It has been debated many weeks now, but there's no clear answer to that. The presidency to the next person who's in line, and that is Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe. And there's a lot of pressure coming from his party not to do that, I believe. But more than that, I think he has a sense of, I started this, I got to finish this, I'm a military man, I just can't leave like this. That sense is also there. However, I think he's now at a point, the tipping point arrived today. I understand that he has been very seriously told by his colleagues, his friends, it's time to go. It's very difficult to change disasters such as this in 2 months. So basically what Ranil Wickremesinghe has done is to rebuild the confidence, especially amongst the international community that has been working with us over a period of time, especially the debtors. Unfortunately, there was the death of or the killing of Prime Minister Abe in Japan is going to set us back quite badly, because he was one of the people that Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe was in touch with and having a dialogue with in terms of getting the money coming back to Sri Lanka. Now, having said that, it's something that is not easy to do within 2 months, especially when the government machinery is not working. We don't have fuel. It's so many crises at the same time. So you got to handle it one at a time. Country definitely has to wait for some more time, but it's being worked out. There's no cancellation of that. It's simply that according to the IMF, certain modalities have to be worked out, and that is being worked down. And there is 2 teams that are negotiating with the IMF experts team, plus the political side from the Prime Minister's side as well. So those modalities are being worked out. The debt restructuring talks are going on. There's Clifford Chance and Lassalle who are doing that. That is 2 international firms that have been hired by the government of Sri Lanka to do those negotiations. So those things are happening. But the Prime Minister was hopeful that Japan will host the Paris Club. The Paris Club is India, Japan, and Australia as well. There are a couple of countries that have given us loans, and those countries were to meet to discuss what's next. And that meeting was to happen in Japan. However, I'm not sure how that is going to happen now with the death of former Prime Minister Abe. But having said that, I think IMF is definitely coming to. It will take a longer period for this to happen.
If you're just joining us and you're wondering what is happening in Sri Lanka and you haven't seen any information on social media, then this is the right channel to be on, because I will give you a timeline of the events as they unfolded in Sri Lanka. Thousands of protesters in Sri Lanka's commercial capital, Colombo, broke through police barricades and stormed the president's official residence on Saturday in one of the largest anti-government marches in the crisis-hit country this year. Some protesters holding Sri Lankan flags and helmets broke into the president's residence. And according to a video footage that is being shared on social media, you can see the protesters inside the president's home, bedroom, kitchen, and swimming pool. Two defense ministry sources said President Gotabaya Rajapaksa fled or was removed from the official premises on Friday for his safety ahead of the planned rally over the weekend. The whereabouts of the president are still not known. Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe summoned an emergency party leaders meeting after the street unrest. Wickremesinghe also requested the Speaker to summon Parliament, and this is according to a statement from the Prime Minister's office. And to quell the crowds, several gunshots were heard being fired into the air, and police unsuccessfully used tear gas to ward off protesters who surrounded the presidential residence, who later broke into the presidential residence, went to the kitchen, went to the bedroom, and to the swimming pool. So far, it has been reported that 30 people have been wounded, including police personnel, in the confrontation between police officers and the protesters. They have been taken to hospital as we speak. Also, the latest information we are getting is that 16 SLPP members of parliament have written a letter requesting the president to resign immediately and to provide the opportunity for a mature leader. Remember, these protests have been ongoing for months now, as the island nation is facing the worst economic crisis since independence. Fuel rationing, lack of food, lack of medicine is driving protesters, or is driving Sri Lankans berserk and angry. Again, let me repeat here that Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has called an emergency meeting with the participation of party leaders to discuss the current situation and to find an immediate solution. This is according to the Prime Minister's office. And the office also said that the President, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, had actually called and told the Prime Minister that any decision that will be taken in the party meeting, he will respect. And we are expecting that party meeting to be held shortly. Our correspondent Dasunia Thauda has been following these events since yesterday. She sent us this report from Colombo.
Ahead of a crucial party leaders meeting that is set to get underway shortly, protesters still continue to march towards the presidential secretariat, along with the president's official residence, which is only a few hundred meters away from this exact location. Now, what is interesting is President Gotabaya Rajapaksa has now informed Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe decision that is to be made by the party leaders meeting. The next few hours is certainly going to be one for the history books here in Sri Lanka, as it will decide the fate of President Gotabaya Rajapaksa. Stay with WION as we bring you the very latest reporting from Colombo. I'm Lankan.
If you're just joining us, you're watching WION World is One, and our focus at this hour is Sri Lanka and the unfolding situation in the island nation. Sri Lanka's beleaguered president Gotabaya Rajapaksa was forced to flee his official residence in the capital today. Protesters demanding the leader's resignation stormed the compound, went into the bedroom, went into the kitchen, and also took a dip in the presidential palace's swimming pool. As of now, we are hearing reports that 30 people have been injured, including 3 policemen who are now hospitalized. The island nation of 22 million people is struggling under a severe foreign exchange shortage that has limited essential imports of fuel, food and medicine, plunging it into the worst financial turmoil in 7 decades. Earlier, protesters confronted security personnel while protesting against the exacerbating economic situation and prevailing unrest in the island nation. Police were forced to use tear gas to disperse the angry crowd. And as it is reported, 30 of the protesters, including the police officers, have been injured in this scuffle and they've been hospitalized. Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe has called for an urgent cabinet meeting, and we are told that the president, Gotabaya Rajapaksa, actually did call the Prime Minister and told him that whatever will be discussed and decided in the party's meeting, he will respect and oblige that. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.